Round two.
Fight.
All right.
Guys, welcome back to episode 5 of the Strong AF Club podcast. As usual, I'm your co-host, Nate Craig, joined by...
Asim Fayez.
And just in time for summer, guys, we got a great topic for you in today's episode. It's going to be weight loss and fat burning. Let's get those summer bods ready. So, if you're looking to get in shape and look all good at the beach and stuff, you have stopped by the right place. And before we jump into things, I just wanted to say, guys, keep these questions coming. Comment down below. We're a community here, and we wouldn't be able to do this podcast without you guys. So, again, we appreciate your support, and keep the questions coming. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, I really like this one. Is cardio a more efficient way for fat and weight loss than strength training?
Age-old question. Is cardio more effective than strength training? No. For a few reasons. One, when you say efficient, I'm thinking time economy, right?
Yeah.
So when you do cardio, outside of like Tabata stuff, your body's going to get used to it, right? So one of the only variables you can really tweak on a singular cardio modality is duration. At some point, you're going to run out of time.
So you're saying, like, if I'm running a mile every day, eventually my body's going to kind of get used to that?
Yeah, because then you got to run 2, then you got to run 3, then 4,
right,
and so on and so on. But the root of it all is strength training is superior for weight loss and fat loss specifically than cardio for the sheer fact that you burn more calories per unit of time exerted in the weight room, period. Building more muscle through strength, assuming your diet, everything is good and you're not eating like an asshole. If you're building strength in the weight room and you're building more muscle, you're burning more calories at rest. And now let's break that down for a second. What dictates how many calories you burn throughout the day? The base number is your BMR. Part of that is dictated by your heart beating, blood pumping, your blinking stuff, automatic things you don't really have that much control over. The other portion of that number comes from your muscle mass. So by building strength and or building muscle too, right? You are increasing your BMR, how many calories you burn at rest, literally doing nothing.
So are you saying that if I had 2 people doing the same level of activity, but one is more muscular than the other, the person who's more muscular would probably burn calories at a more efficient rate?
Absolutely. And let me give you a really simple analogy. We have 2 cars and we have a quarter-mile strip. One's a V8, one's a 4-cylinder. The V8 is going to burn more gas, aka burn more calories, because that's our body's version of currency. Just like the currency in our car is gas, and the currency in our bank account is dollars. It's going to burn more per quarter mile than that 4-cylinder. So by increasing the amount of muscle you have, you will then increase the amount of calories you need to consume to maintain that muscle, aka burning more calories per unit of activity. So if you increase your muscle mass, and I'm not saying look like Ronnie Coleman, trust me, no one will. We all been trying to get jacked our whole lives. It takes a very long time, and it's it's not going to happen overnight. But by putting on just a few pounds of muscle, spread across your entire body, you're not going to really see too much of that, but you will feel it. You will burn more calories doing the same level of activity. So it's more cost effective, especially if you're an adult with a busy schedule, to focus and primarily do strength training than it is to do cardio for weight loss.
Gotcha. So yeah, if I'm a viewer and I'm trying to get the summer bod ready and all I'm doing is running every day and all that cardio stuff, really your advice from what I'm hearing is start sprinkling in some of that strength training as well.
Absolutely. I would say if you look at it as a meal, your entree is the main part. That's your strength training. The variable that you tweak, aka the appetizer or the dessert, is the cardio you do before or after or later in the day. But it's not the thing that makes the meal.
Gotcha.
It's a variable we can add, a lever we can pull on from time to time to induce a little bit more calories burned to kind of break through a plateau, but your entree still needs to be there.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That was a good one. Jeez. Keep these coming. All right, on to the next one. Why do you think most people struggle to lose weight or fat, and probably more importantly, keep it off? Because we all know that friend who lost 30, 40 pounds in a month or 2 or something like that, and then boom.
Yes.
A month or 2 later, it's all back.
Oh man, there's a few reasons I see this. One is they did something like a 75-day challenge, 30-day challenge, and when the challenge was done, their objective was to get to the finish line, not to sustain that finish line over and over again. So they didn't really instill habits; They just did things to get to the end. So they never really changed their habits. That's the low hanging fruit. That's one I see, but it's not as common. The main ones I see are people usually lose weight through dropping heavy amounts of carbs. And every time you drop carbs, you drop water. But the issue with our society is most social events revolve around food and or drink. And what does all that have? Carbs and fats. So you reduce your social environment. So when you go out to these social gatherings, you tend to be around these foods, and eventually you break, you consume it, and now you gain all that water weight back. It's a carbohydrate. It's one of the macronutrients we manipulate the hardest when it comes to a weight cut to get someone to drop 10, 15 pounds in just a week for a weight class. So you can drop a lot of weight just by dropping carbs, but you're not going to really see that visually, but you'll see it on the scale, and you might feel a little bit in the weight room. You'll feel weaker for sure after a while. So I think people crash diet too hard, and they don't do anything to instill habits. The other factor, and this is the one that gets a little bit more personal, and this is where people need to start reflecting in the mirror, is does your house and your life sabotage you from getting your goals? Some people won't lose weight despite doing everything they want to do during the day in the gym and at work. But when they go home, if their spouse or whoever is sabotaging them at home and making it really hard for them to make the right choices, that's usually when I see people struggle the most.
Are you talking about stock in the fridge? You have a little bit too many sweet treats and you know yourself?
It needs to be a team effort. It takes a tribe, in my opinion. And if you're in a relationship and a significant other is not on board, it definitely makes it harder because a lot of times you get that pushback of, well, I'm not dieting. Why should I have to restrict my food? And now you feel bad and you're watching them eat the fun stuff and you're not eating the fun stuff. So I think that's another factor. It comes down to your environment. You didn't change your environment because your environment shapes you. So if you're still in the environment that shaped you in the way you didn't want to be, and you want to change that, but you don't change your environment, it's gonna be really hard for that to happen. So that's one. You made a challenge, and then when the challenge is done, you're stuck in the field staring around, be like, well, which direction do I go now? Because the GPS ran out, right? You hit the destination.
Yeah.
So I think having a more long-term target helps. And then also crash dieting, just eliminating the entire food group. And I mean, intermittent fasting could be thrown into that too. Some people will get to their weight loss because they restricted their time of day of eating. Well, it's like, you didn't really change your habits. You just cut out an entire food group or you cut out an entire meal. Of course, you're going to lose weight because you dropped calories, and that's essentially what it is. But what happens when you add that back in?
Right.
Because you didn't fix the problem. You just slapped a giant Band-Aid on your day.
Or you were just good for a couple of weeks kind of thing. You know what? That's a good point. That's a perfect segue into the next question. What are some things that slow down your metabolism? And what are some preventative measures you can take in order to avoid that metabolism slowing down? I think we touched on one already, which is the crash dieting.
Yes. And I think that is, I mean, outside of like the medical stuff and outside of medication, I think the most common way I see people self-induce this is by under eating way too much. Because we live in a society where we want things yesterday and we're not willing to wait. People will force weight loss faster than it can come. And they will undereat severely, especially around this time of day. This time of year where it's getting hotter, bay doors open, people wearing t-shirts, etc. I think that urgency starts kicking in now because summer bodies are built in the winter, and a lot of people don't really live that way. So they focus on building summer bodies when summer comes.
That's exactly why I myself hired a coach.
Yes.
Because, again, I was one of those people too. I want to be in a 2,000 calorie deficit or whatever, but really it's digging a hole.
Absolutely. And you dig a hole and your body has to have calories to consume to maintain normal bodily function. And if you start dipping below those numbers, you start shutting your own system down because your body is smart. There's a reason we've lived this long. And we've survived in so many different terrains. Our body will adapt. And that is an adaptation that you don't want it to have. So I don't really believe in like revving up your metabolism super fast or slow or etc. But I do believe that you will wreck your metabolism, your metabolic health by going too much in a deficit where your body is not going to respond the way you want it to. And then the second you give it a little bit more calories, right? You decide to increase your calories, which is what you should do in that situation. You have a momentary weight increase. And everyone freaks out when that happens. Like, oh, the scale went up 2 pounds. The scale went up 4 pounds. So they freak out, and that's when they pull the trigger, break the glass, and they bail. But that's the point where you need to stick it out. It's like growing your hair out. You hit that awkward phase.
Yeah, you need to wear hats
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
beanie
exactly.
or something to work.
Yeah, and a lot of people will undereat and they'll dig themselves into this ditch, and the way out of it is by actually increasing those calories, upping that protein, and make sure you're doing your strength training regularly. And you're gonna have a moment of time where you're gonna regain weight, but most of that's gonna be water and glycogen just reabsorbing back into your body because you've been so depleted for so long. You're just going back to where you would have been. And then you can start the journey of weight loss, but it needs to be a chip away. You need to be chipping away at it over time. And the deficit can't, I mean, it 100% has to come from your nutrition, but it's a combination of daily activity. So just walking more, standing when you could sit, walking when you can stand, running when you can walk, etc. Park a little bit further away from the store. Don't get the front row. Things like that. Just small habits throughout the day, increase activity, plus deficit in your nutrition. But do not starve yourself, because then you're gonna set yourself up for a battle that's way harder than the weight loss journey you were trying to start.
So no 30-day water fast?
Yeah, no.
You're like, what do you think, dude? All right, let's jump into another one. What are some of the best? I know, again, summertime's coming around the corner. Everybody's wants to look good at the beach, and one of the most troublesome areas I think that people have is the belly. And I know I'm trying to chip it down as well. What are some of the best exercises to get rid of that belly fat?
Put the fork down. But no, in reality, but in reality though, yes, the caloric deficit, period. But strength training, back to that again, you can't spot reduce. You can't pick an area and be like, that's the spot I'm going to lose fat
I was
from.
about to ask that.
Yeah, it's not like a laser beam. I'm Clark Kent, look at your stomach and be like, that's what we're going to burn away now.
So I can't just do Russian
you
twists
can't
a million
Homelander,
times and
yeah,
only burn
no,
that.
you can't Homelander yourself away. Like you got to find, you have to be in a caloric deficit first. You have to be training to maintain the muscle mass you have. So that way the weight loss is coming from fat, not muscle. So making sure you eat enough protein. So no crash dieting here. And it'll happen holistically around your whole body. Now, where it happens first is highly genetic, right? So where you're going to lose it from is probably going to be the spot where you're going to notice it from is probably going to be the spots where you're already the most leanest. For example, me, my arms always stay lean no matter what. My arms stay lean, my upper body. It's mostly around this midsection, more towards the back. The front side, never really. It's usually back towards here. And then my upper thighs for me. So when
You got those baby Baron hips.
Exactly, dude.
Hey.
It's the Pakistani hips, bro. But for me, it's like when I start dieting down, I start getting leaner. It's from like here up gets lean before here down. And it's usually around like the hip, back pocket into my upper thigh area. And some people are the other way around. Their legs are super shredded, but their upper body is where they hold the weight. It's that part is highly genetic. You can't choose where you lose the weight, but you can choose to lose weight.
Yeah, well put. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Why do you think consistency is more important than intensity or striving for perfection necessarily? Because kind of like we were talking about, you have people that go gung-ho maybe for like a month and they're perfect with their diet. They're counting their calories. They're counting those macros. But then they kind of end up easing back into their own habits. Why do you think just keeping it consistent, even if they're not as perfect necessarily, is a better method of keeping that weight off?
It's like getting a consistent paycheck over a long period of time versus getting one lump sum and then burning it away later. I think having that slow drip is more beneficial, but to the idea of training super hard for a short amount of time, burning out and fading back into your old habits, you can only build muscle so fast per week, per month. It's an excruciatingly slow process. You will not put on as much muscle as you probably think. Most of that weight loss, most of that weight gain, glycogen, water, and a little bit of body fat. A lot of people say, I put on 20 pounds of muscle in the last 6 months. Not possible.
Yeah, no, you didn't. And
Unless you just,
Yeah, unless you're on...
unless you're on that acai, or you are new to lifting, you're coming back from an injury and you used to be yoked. Like, you're not going to just stack
like
on.
recomping kind of thing.
Exactly. You're just coming back to where you were. But rarely unless you're a genetic freak or your just bone structure is huge, is that can happen. So I think the slow drip is better because you actually yield long-term results. Because you can't, if you go hard for 4 weeks, you can only build so much muscle in that period, and you can only lose so much fat in that period. So I'd rather take someone who goes slow for 2 years, 24 months, than goes absolutely apeshit for 6 months. Because the amount of progress you can make in 24 months, even if it's slow, is still more sustainable than the 6 months.
And you're probably less prone to bounce back, right?
100%, because you're building habits. You're tackling one thing at a time. I mean, most people fail these challenges or fail these goals because they try to attack the whole gambit at once. They're like, I'm going to go hard. They go from no lifting or one lifting session a week to 5 or 6. They go from no dieting to all the meal prepping. They go from no walking to all the walking. And they go from shit sleep cycle to great sleep cycle. And on paper, that's where they should be ending up. But everyone tries to get to the final boss on level 1.
Right. Just a little too quick. That's not how it works.
And that's how you fail. Like when you start the game off, you got to build the character up, acquire the armor, do etc., level your character up. So when you get to the final boss, you're ready to sustain that battle. The issue is people, right?
Ooh, that was good. Keep that in.
But like it's like getting into a game with a character with no armor. It has a little like a leather cloth as his protection and like an axe.
Like a tarnished and dark.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going against Dracula, the final boss at the end. It's like, dude, no, you're going to get cooked. So I think, I'd rather take someone who builds small habits and builds off of small wins day after day, week after week, and sustains that over a long period of time than someone who goes apeshit, buys all the right things and goes hard for like 3 to 6 weeks, 3 to 6 months, and then burns out completely and just never does it again.
Yeah, I could totally see that. So really kind of this fat loss, weight loss journey kind of thing. If you want to get prepped for something like that, sounds like consistency is key. Get those good habits started now.
Absolutely. I mean, there's many things in life you can nuke like that and bum rush it, and you'll yield huge results. This is not that arena.
Right. And also, I think we touched on it in the last podcast a little bit too. You don't necessarily need to strive for perfection. Consistency is key, and do what you know you can do consistently. You know what? Have, that piece of pizza or whatever you wanted on the weekend after you've worked hard.
Yes, 100%. And like, if you're to put your thumb out in front of you and stare at it, and then you try to look at the details of the room without looking away, you can't. Your mind can only focus so deeply on a few things at a time. Perfect those, make those habit and muscle memory, and then build off of that. If you try to paint the entire picture of the room in one go, it's going to look janky and it's not going to look right. Focus on 1 to 2 things at a time and just perfect that. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself a long landing strip to knock that out, and then add another one to it. That goes for lifting cues. That goes for strength. That goes for dietary habits. That goes for most things in the fitness world.
Gotcha. Well, guys, I think that is all the questions we got today. This is a good stopping point. Again, we cannot do this without you guys. So please comment down below, send in questions that you want us to bring up on air.
Yes. And also what we'd love to hear is we are going down the direction of shorter videos around the 20-ish minute mark. We want to know if this is what you guys like. Do you guys like these short and sweet, straight to the point, or do you like our longer form banter? Let us know.
Yeah, we're both certified yappers. So if you want a 2-hour podcast, we can do it.
Easily.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.